Many creators have been exposed for unacceptable behavior this year, especially towards minors.
Bro, he's weird, bro. That's weirdo.
And unfortunately, Ava Tyson, one of Mr. Beast's closest friends, has now joined that list. This issue caught the attention of two major creators, Penguinz0 and Cenat. They each made videos discussing Tyson's actions, saying some really heavy stuff, while emphasizing how inappropriate and unacceptable the situation is. Hey, I'm Mighty Elroy, and today we're diving into some pretty wild stuff that's been going down with Kris Tyson from the Mr. Beast crew, and how Cenat and Penguinz0 played a major role in trying to cancel them.
They have 63 genders up there, but they can't have my gender?
Things have been getting really messy over the last few weeks, so let's break it all down together. And if you're wondering who Ava is, she once went by Kris Tyson, who you probably know as one of the key members of Mr. Beast's team, or at least he used to be. This dude has been around since the early days, back when the Mr. Beast channels were all about blowing up stuff and doing crazy stunts for views. Kris was your typical southern guy, you know, trucks, guns, the whole deal. But then around mid 2020, fans started noticing some changes. Kris began to show some more feminine traits, like there were tweets about getting his nails done and a noticeable change in his appearance. At first, people were like, what's going on? But Kris explained it was all about taking mental health seriously and eating better, which sounded fair, right? Fast forward to early 2023 and things really started to get more serious. Kris was dressing more feminine in Mr. Beast videos, which got people talking. There were tons of comments and even viral TikToks pointing out the changes. Some folks were supportive, others not so much. A Twitter user posted a picture comparing two images of Kris with the caption, "Bro, what the F happened?" And then Kris dropped a bombshell. He announced he was on HRT, hormone replacement therapy, and he had been on it for a couple of months. This announcement was huge. Kris was pretty open about it, saying HRT saved his life and helped him be his true self. He also talked about how difficult it is to get gender affirming healthcare, even in the first world country like the USA. And Mr. Beast and the team had his back. Jimmy was a super supportive friend. But of course, not everyone was on board, and people kept hounding Jimmy and Kris with comments like, "The future looks bad for masculinity." Well, Beast got the control of the kids, so will he replace his content to push to transgender push towards kids now? There were so many more critics saying some pretty nasty stuff, even going as far as questioning Kris's role as a father, making all sorts of judgments. Kris didn't back down though. He clapped back, saying the love and support are what matters the most for his kid. The transition brought a mix of reactions within the Mr. Beast videos too. You could tell the dynamic was shifting. In one live stream where they were opening 1,000 mystery art boxes, Kris showed up in a more feminine style. The vibe felt a little bit off. It was like there was an unspoken elephant in the room.
Oh my God, Jimmy, look, they drew you. Jimmy, they drew you so well. It looks just like you.
Everyone was doing their own thing, but you could sense that things were now different. Kris even made some jokes about Jimmy that seemed to make him feel uncomfortable. It was little stuff, but you could see how things changed were affecting the group's interactions. Some viewers picked up on this too, commenting that the unusual chemistry wasn't quite the same. Despite all of this, Kris kept pushing forward, yet the mixed reactions from the public kept coming. Some were inspired by Kris's journey, while others felt it was impacting the content they loved negatively. However, the whole saga died down and everyone seemed to have moved on. But just when you thought things had cooled down, allegations about Kris surfaced. This time, it was about Kris sending inappropriate messages to minors. Yeah, it got dark real quick. Screenshots and messages started flooding in, painting a pretty disturbing picture of the guy. And this wasn't just some random troll job. It was serious stuff with proof. The recent controversy surrounding Kris Tyson began with the leak of over 500,000 Discord messages from the Mr. Beast server on July 16, 2024. It all started when a YouTuber named Adrox posted a video on July 16 titled "This video will make you hate Kris Tyson," which detailed Tyson's involvement with the controversial artist Shadman and also for trying to abuse minors and all that crazy stuff. These leaks exposed Tyson's inappropriate interactions with minors, including encouraging them to post explicit images and setting up bots for NSFW content. The conversations date back to around 2018 and 2019, and let me tell you, these weren't just harmless chats. The stuff in these messages were alarming, to say the least. In these leaks, Kris, using the username Kris the Meme God, was caught up in conversations that were way out of line, especially given the audience. Mr. Beast's fan base is full of teenagers and even younger kids, so seeing these kind of messages were shocking. One of the first red flags with this whole thing was the whole idea of creating a not safe for work NSFW channel. For those who might not know, NSFW content includes explicit adult material. In one of the leaked messages, Kris said, "I believe in free NSFW channel. If people want to catch the blank, then that's fine by me." Now, having NSFW content in a server mainly used by teenagers is already a huge no-no, but the fact that Kris also was promoting this idea was even more concerning. It showed a lack of understanding of the responsibility that comes with having such a young audience. In one particular exchange, Kris asked a user named Meebot how old they were. When the Meebot replied they just had turned 14, Kris didn't back off. Instead, the conversation continued in a suggestive manner. There were multiple incidents where Kris's behavior towards minors was just very sus. Another message showed Kris saying, "Just put my nudes in NSFW," which given the context is even more troubling. This wasn't an isolated case either. Screenshots also surfaced showing Kris interacting inappropriately with another minor, most notably with a young boy known online as Lava. Screenshots revealed Tyson sending explicit messages and inappropriate comments to Lava, who had been about 13 or 14 years old at the time, while Tyson was a full adult. Despite these revelations, Lava himself has come forward to defend Tyson, stating that he did not feel exploited or groomed. Then there were the explicit content requests. Screenshots showed Kris allegedly asking minors to send explicit photos, which is not just inappropriate, it's illegal. The fact that these messages exist is damning evidence against Kris. It only got messier when Kris's connection to Shadman, a controversial artist known for drawing explicit content, often involving minors. Kris had been publicly supportive of Shadman's work, even owning some of his artwork. And in Mr. Beast's video, you can actually see a piece of Shadman's art hanging on Kris's wall. This connection only added fuel to the fire. If you thought it couldn't get any worse, there's actually more. An old video surfaced where Kris shared a link to revenge porn involving actress Cenat McCurdy. In the video, Kris nonchalantly said, "The link's in the description if you want to see them." I mean, I'm not endorsing people to go look at somebody else's private business, but I know that the people might want to see them, so there it is if you want it. Sharing revenge porn is not just illegal, but it is incredibly damaging to the victim. This revelation painted Kris in an even more negative light. As you can imagine, the public backlash was swift and severe. People were outraged, and rightfully so. The online community was widely condemned Tyson's behavior, leading to further scrutiny and additional victims coming forward with similar stories of inappropriate interactions. One such victim, Nathan W., posted a video accusing Tyson of manipulation and exploiting him when he was 15, providing further disturbing details about Tyson's conduct. The internet blew up when the allegations against Kris Tyson surfaced. Social media was buzzing with opinions, criticism, and outright outrage. Platforms like Twitter and Reddit were on fire with discussion, memes, and heated debates. People had a lot to say about Kris, and it wasn't pretty. Ava issued an apology which felt like a standard PR statement, apologizing for any past behavior or comments that hurt or offended anyone, and announcing a step back from social media and the Mr. Beast videos to focus on family and mental health. However, many felt this apology didn't directly address the serious allegations or offered any real accountability on her end. Mr. Beast and his team had to respond to this mess. Initially, Mr. Beast stood by Kris, tweeting support, but as more details emerged, the situation became indefensible. The pressure on Mr. Beast to address these allegations in a more serious manner grew. But before that, you have to know, that Jimmy has a history of supporting his friends and team members, especially Kris Tyson, during controversy. In April 2023, Sunny V2 posted a video talking about Kris and his transition and how it will affect the YouTube channel. He suggested that in reality, Jimmy was unhappy with the whole thing. Mr. Beast, in response to the video, took to Twitter, defending Kris and calling out what he saw as phobia-fueled attacks. He tweeted something along the lines of, "Kris isn't in my nightmare, he's my friend, and things are fine." When Kris began facing backlash for his transition, Jimmy publicly defended him on social media. For instance, when he announced his hormone replacement therapy, Jimmy showed his support by commenting positively on his posts. In situations where Kris were criticized, Jimmy often stood up for him, showing his loyalty. However, as more details emerged of his recent issue, the pressure on Mr. Beast increased. It became clear that it wasn't just about defending a friend, it was about addressing some serious accusations. Jimmy made it clear he was shocked and disgusted by the allegations, and they were looking into it. He promised an investigation and stated that his team would cooperate with the authorities. This was a smart move, considering the potential legal ramifications and the need to maintain his brand's integrity. It was a tough spot, supporting a friend but also dealing with some pretty serious stuff. As the controversial grew, their public statements became more cautious. They had to balance their personal feelings with the professional impact the situation could have on the entire crew. The whole team was in a tight spot, trying to navigate their friendships and the backlash from millions of fans. Then we have Cenat's reaction. Man, Kai didn't hold back. He went on a stream calling Kris a weirdo and questioned how a grown man could knowingly engage with minors like that. His reaction was raw and unfiltered, reflecting the frustration and disbelief many felt.
Weirdo. Yes, weirdo. Yes, Kris from Mr. Beast, bro. It's up, it's weird.
It's also interesting to see someone like Kai, who usually keeps things lighthearted, dive into such a serious topic with such intensity. Kai also highlighted the responsibility that comes with being a public figure. He pointed out that when you're in a spotlight, especially someone as prominent as Kris Tyson from the Mr. Beast crew, there's an expectation to uphold certain standards. To Kai, Kris had not only failed to meet these standards, but had grossly violated them, betraying the trust of his young audience and their parents. Sneeko, on the other hand, took a different approach.
What? Satan runs the industry and Pokemon is proof. Kris gets caught being a pedophile and she defends the trans community instead of disavowing Kris. These are the standards of every streamer right now. They care more about the demonic trans ideology than kids getting groomed. That's proof in front of your face. It took her that long to say that too. So please don't view it that way. It doesn't affect trans people. I don't know all the details. Pokemon, you didn't know any of the details of Dr. Disrespect before you said, ew, disgusting, terrible person. His kids are gonna need therapy.
He saw the situation as an opportunity to comment on an issue he has probably had in mind for a bit. He criticized Pokemon for defending Kris and accused her of prioritizing the trans community over the safety of minors. He didn't just stop at criticizing Kris and Pokemon. He went over to those who turned a blind eye and were tiptoeing around the issue, like Penguinz0, making it clear that he saw this as a serious moral failing.
Kris, the associate of the biggest YouTube channel in the world, you do a 4-minute clip on your second channel. Stop coping and be a journalist if you're gonna be a journalist, or just say that you wanna have the collab. Stop lying.
And then there's Penguinz0, who always seems to have a level-headed take on things. Charlie addressed the situation with his unusual mix of seriousness and a sprinkle of sarcasm.
I never knew Ava Tyson very well. Cody Ko I did, and I still wasn't afraid to talk about how awful his shit was. So I've never been someone to shy away from a bad situation like this just because I know or am familiar with the person that it's about.
Charlie also has some words for Sneeko.
Jesus Christ, the drool there is gonna drive me insane. I need to go put on the bathrobe here and give him PTSD or something. What do you mean it is a 4-minute clip? Because I did that so people like you who don't pay attention long enough could see my take on it and also get the bare bones information of what makes it so horrible. And I thought you would be going that angle again, saying like, oh, well, that 13-year-old was probably very mature.
Age of consent should be maturity. It's not even 18 in most states. Why do you even believe that? It's because in Hollywood, it's 18, so that gets pushed everywhere. Most places 16. And if you question that, then they call you a pedo. I believe the age of consent is the age of maturity. It should be called the age of marriage. Age of consent implies that you're gonna have out of wedlock. I think it's better that people get married at 16, 17 than to have a bunch of premarital until they're 30 and they're washed up, and then they get jaded and they're on birth control and they have dried up eggs. I think that's better for society.
He's so pseudo-intellectual that he actually argues for things that defend pedophilia. That's f***ing ridiculous.
Charlie emphasized that the internet needs to be a safe space for everyone, especially minors, and that influencers have a duty to ensure that safety. The broader impact on Mr. Beast's brand is yet to be fully seen. Sponsors have started reconsidering their partnerships, not wanting to be associated with the controversy. There were even calls for boycotts, with fans divided on whether they should continue supporting the channel. In the end, this whole situation became a massive headache for Mr. Beast. He found himself in a lose-lose scenario. Supporting Kris publicly risks alienating a significant portion of his audience, but distancing himself could create an even bigger backlash. The only clean exit might have been for Kris to step down voluntarily, but even that wouldn't have stopped the rumors and negative press. So yeah, the Kris Tyson situation was a nightmare for everyone involved.